Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and I'm happy to welcome you to our weekly webinar. And what we're trying to do here, as always, is create a plan for the week. And as you know, not just in trading, but in most of the aspects, if not all the aspects of our lives, planning is an important part. It doesn't guarantee the success, but definitely improves the results. A few words about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I started my trading career in June of 2000 as a prop trader back in New York City. And after doing that for 11 years, I moved into a less stressful environment. I always put a smile on my face when I say that. And also, I started back then to mentor and educate traders. And currently, I'm very happy to have this opportunity to assist our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda of the webinar, pretty much the same every week. We talk a little bit about the big picture, what's been happening, what is going to happen. We talk a little bit about the economic calendar. Then we go into discussing indices, stocks, commodities, and FX. Risk warning, you can find a full statement at avatrade.com. What we do here, it's purely educational. Our channels at AvaTrade, you have Telegram, Twitter, and my favorite, as I always say, a YouTube channel, when you can see a lot of things being edited daily. That includes tutorials, all kind of educational material, and also all the webinars are being recorded and posted. So if you missed the webinar, if you don't have a chance to watch it in the real time, you can always go back and find it at our YouTube channel. So if you are watching this on YouTube channel, please feel free to subscribe, put the likes, and click on that bell so you'll be notified for new things. And also what's important is really to see feedback from you. You can write your comments, would be great and highly appreciated. Okay, so let's start with the week. We had a short week, as you know. It was a Thanksgiving holiday in the States, and as US is the biggest market, that was pretty much a slow week before the holiday. Then Thursday the markets were closed, the equity markets, and then Friday was a short day session that ended a few hours before the regular time. So we are starting Monday with the regular full-time week with few events that we'll go over in a few minutes. Also, we had Black Friday kicked in right after Thanksgiving, and I just browsed through things. It looks like there were really strong sales. I guess we'll see more details and opinions of the analysts, what it means to retail sector and in general to economy. That's it pretty much. So let's start with the economic calendar first, and a few words about it, especially for new people. This is public information. You can find it on our web trader or the AvaGo app, and you can also find it with any third-party providers. This is public information available to everyone, and everybody is supposed to be reporting the same things. So here I take only high impact events. As you could see, the impact is all in red. You're more than welcome to filter to what's relevant to you in your trading, in the instruments that you trade, in the region that you involve your trading with, and so on. So few things here. We have Tuesday retail sales from Australia, followed by the governor of Bank of Australia speaking. Wednesday, we have a monthly CPI index from Australia, monetary policy from New Zealand. They expect, as you could see here, no change, but who knows. then followed by the statement and the press conference an hour later. So that's about New Zealand on Wednesday. Also CPI numbers from Germany and GDP numbers from US and the governor of Bank of England speaking as well. That's on Wednesday. Thursday, manufacturing PMI from China, retail sales from Germany, and CPI numbers from Europe, very important. And here we come probably to the most important numbers of the week, maybe even for the month. This is the number that the Feds prefer to measure the inflation with, and it called core personal consumption expenditure. And the number comes out on Thursday afternoon. So very, very important. Just to remind you, we had last decision on hold. Next December decision is projected to be no change. And if you remember or if you follow what Powell always says, that decision of the Feds is totally data dependent, and they are watching these numbers very, very closely. So Thursday could create volatility around these numbers when they come out. GDP numbers from Canada on Thursday and Friday. We have manufacturing PMI from China, GDP from Switzerland, employment data from Canada, and manufacturing PMI from US, and that followed by the speech of Powell, also important. I don't know how important this speech is, but any speech of Powell is being followed and watched closely. Now, as you could see here, even though Friday is the first Friday of the month, December, but in this case, the NFP, the non-farm payroll, was moved to next week. I guess it was too close. Even though the Canadians are reporting on Friday, the US report will be followed next Friday. So again, these are the events, the high impact events. There's more than that coming out, and you're more than welcome to see what's relevant for you. Okay, so we had Thanksgiving, we had Black Friday, and the question is, will the rally continue, December rally or Santa Claus rally? Will it happen this year? And the first thing that comes to my mind is watching the VIX. So you could see VIX, that the fear indicator or volatility indicator, has different names that people like to call it. In any event, whatever you call it, it's not important. What's important is where it is now. We just broke through the previous resistance here. We closed at 1246 as markets are running up. And I checked, you can see it on this chart, but if you take a monthly chart of VIX, we are approaching the January 2020 level, which was 11.75. And from that level, we had similar vertical to this. So it could be that we are expecting the turnaround on VIX, which in return would translate into market turning around and selling. But the mood of a lot of analysts is the opposite. They watching the markets, and they're expecting the market to run into the end of the year. I guess we'll see what's happening, definitely. And just to share with you something that I talk about every year at the end of the year, that the Wall Street has a tendency to run the market into the high of the year, to close the year at the highs, so everybody will be happy and receive nice fat bonuses on Wall Street. So I'm not saying it with jealousy, but this is the fact. I've been there and I know how it is, and this is the opportunity for them to do so. And then when the bonuses are received, I don't know about now, but it used to be a classic scenario that the luxury cars dealers and the real estate brokers were the happy shoppers to receive all that money that Wall Street paid in bonuses to their employees. All right. So that's the VIX. Again, we could easily break the January low at 1175. We less than a dollar away from it, or we can turn around and have a rally and the sell-off on the market as well. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's just overview what we'll be talking about today. So we'll talk about indices. We'll start with Asia, then US, then Europe. We'll speak about few stocks that includes Netflix, Apple, AT&T, pharmaceutical stocks, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Teva. Then we'll move to commodities that includes gold, oil, and natural gas. And then we'll go into Forex world, starting with US dollar. And we'll finish with taking a quick look at Bitcoin. Okay, so here's our chart. And as I said, we'll start with Asia. China is not really showing any signs of strength. Just to remind you, recently we had a meeting which I guess Chinese party was hoping to get some improvements from, but it doesn't look like it. I think right after the meeting, the sell-off came. So let's see how we acting here with the Chinese market. We have some data that we mentioned before. Nikkei had a strong move this week. Again, we broke through the previous resistance, and a lot of it, two reasons. One, the global market went up, and the second, the yen continues to be weak. We'll talk about yen when we get to Forex. So this is Nikkei trying to really fight that, not the fight, but at least check that recent resistance that we had back in June at 33,955. So we slowly approaching there, and as you could see here, with the 4 consecutive weeks to the upside. All right, let's move to US. Just to remind us again, it was a short week, and especially Friday was very slow trading. So this is Dow Jones. We broke through the previous resistance. It looks strong. Let's see if this move continues, as we said, as a general mood of the market. S&P 500 on Friday had a little bit of a negative day here, or pretty much flat, and we're sitting right on that level of resistance. So as you could see, we'll go through more indices. It looks like most of them are facing this resistance. Some broke through and trying to confirm it. Some are still fighting with it. So S&P 500, as you could see here, we did close on Thursday above, and then Friday we are sitting here, not really rushing into moving higher from these levels. The same thing on Nasdaq. We are sitting at these levels. We didn't really break the high of the week. On Friday, it was a little bit of a sell-off. Also, European indices, you see German DAX as well. It's facing the resistance around these levels, around 16,000. Again, we'll see how this week works for indices. And FTSE, the UK index, is also showing a lot of uncertainty. As you could see, this tails up and down, and we are sitting right between a 50 and 100 moving average. So again, as we kick in the full force trading week and some economic data that includes the one the Fed's really closely watching, the expenditure numbers of consumers, and might see either continuation to the upside or maybe a reversal. So that's as far as indices. And let's move to stocks. As we said, we'll start with Apple. Apple stock this week closed the gap from back in the beginning of August, as you could see here, around 190, 191. This week we tried to close above it, and then the last 3 sessions were selling, and we are below $190. So let's see how this week plays. And again, I like to repeat it. I hope you're not tired of it. But a lot of individual stocks definitely following the general direction of the market. So if the market continues running, as I always say, even the average stocks or not so strong stocks, they go with the market, and vice versa. If the market is selling, even the strong stocks are being sucked into a downside move. So this is Apple, and we are playing around that 190 mark. We did confirm closing the gap, but we didn't really see continuation to retest the highs. So that's as far as Apple. Netflix. Where are you, Netflix? Here we go. Netflix has been super strong, and we are really approaching this high of July 19th of 483. I think we almost hit it on, this was Wednesday, right? Because Thursday the market was closed. So we almost hit it on Wednesday. And then the Friday was also a green day, but we didn't break through it. So it's very crucial to see things when you see the high from which we had a sell-off, and then we had the vertical going to that level. A lot of times the sellers recognize it and start building sell orders around there. So let's see if this is the case this time. Another company that's worth watching is AT&T. We spoke about it in the past. Let me just locate it. I know it was somewhere here. Okay. Take a look. First of all, we are bouncing our head against the 200 moving average here. And also, it's right here, back in July 5th, right after the Independence Day holiday in the US. We are actually right to the penny here. The high here was $16.20. Guess what? Friday we closed exactly on that spot. So it just shows you how the history sometimes, again, important to understand, sometimes nothing is granted or for granted. So here we close at the same level and the 200 moving average. So we might see the sellers, again, it depends on the mood of the market. If the market turns around, start selling, maybe the sellers will start pushing it lower. So we had a nice move here actually from around these levels on October 17th with a gap and then correction and then moving higher. So that's as far as AT&T. We'll see how it manages to fight the current level. Let's take a look at banks. I forgot to mention it, but we'll definitely need to look at them. They are experiencing a nice recovery, but the move is kind of slowing down here. So that's Johnson & Johnson. As you could see, the tail that just broke through the previous 3 sessions, but closed below. Goldman Sachs as well, slowing down around here after a very nice recovery. Bank of America, Citigroup. So the whole sector had a nice recovery, but it is slowing down now, so we might see some correction to the downside. Let's take a look at pharmaceuticals really quick. We had spoken about them. This is Johnson & Johnson. We are testing the previous resistance that was there on November 6th with a high of 152.25. We did close above it, so that gives us hope that possibly we might continue in the same direction to the upside. And if that happens, we kind of turning the trend to the upside. What's the definition? The higher highs and the higher lows. So take a look. We did make a higher low, not very exciting though, and we did kind of close above the previous high, 152.25 by really few cents, 15 cents. So we might trigger the continuation and the uptrend showing us some hope here. That's Johnson & Johnson. Pfizer doesn't look as strong as Johnson & Johnson, but it also shows us a little bit of a strength. So let's see if the company manages to turn around and show some money to the shareholders. Okay, so that's pharmaceuticals, and that completes our stocks review. Now let's move to Forex, and we'll start with dollar index, which is channeling clearly. We spoke about it last week, I think, between 104 and 103. This week we did almost test the 103. 103.05 was there on the 21st, and we closed the week closer to 103 mark and below all three moving averages. We just closed below the 200. So let's see how we might see another attempt to break through 103 on dollar index. Okay, let's run through majors really quick. You see the strength of British pound. So it's kind of a mirror image. As you could see, pound is above 200 average. So all the majors could be probably in the same situation as dollar is below. So this is pound. From here, we're getting into the area of possible resistance. Let's see how that works. Euro dollar as well. As you could see here, we're playing with this resistance from the end of August, around 109, 109.50. USD CAD also sold. We did bounce off a 100 moving average here though. And we did manage to close above the previous support here, which was 136.28. Isn't that funny? Right on that number. Wow, take a look. The low here, 136.284, and the close here, 136.284 to the micro pip. That is funny. So it just shows you how the levels sometimes make sense, you know, not to say more. Okay, so let's see if this means something. If this specific level held to the micro pip, we might actually see some serious actions here. Australian dollar as well just closed above the 200 moving average here for the first time since end of July. So let's see if that continues. And New Zealand dollar as well, we did close above the 200 moving average since mid-July we were there. Okay, so that's as far as majors, and I prepare a few cross pairs that are at the major levels, but before that we'll take a quick look at the dollar yen. So you could see dollars is holding strength against the yen, so that's all about weakness of the yen, and let's just show it. All other currencies are running up against the yen. So let's take a look at the specific ones that are approaching some serious levels here. So this is Aussie yen. and we are on the way to retest the recent high, and also is the same level as back in September of last year. The high here was 98.558. So we did test that level a week before, and it looks like we are trying to test it again. So serious level from more than a year ago. So we might see the resistance stands, or we might just break through it and have an instrument flying. Again, we are approaching sometime Japanese authorities or Bank of Japan or governor of Bank of Japan should do something about it, about the interest rate, just to remind us again, especially to new people, that while most of the central banks were super busy increasing the rates and causing some turmoil by doing that, Bank of Japan hasn't done anything for a very long time, and the interest rate is still in the negative territory, minus 0.1%. So let's see how that plays. And this pair, like I said, we are facing major resistance here at around 98.55. GBP CAD also facing resistance around these levels. So right here at the high of 170, 174, we had a sell-off from here, which was intense. And as you could see here, I'm just going to draw an approximate line here. As you could see here, exactly around that level, we have a lot of actions. We're not really managing to continue this rally here. So definitely at the current levels, the pound Canadian is worth watching. Next pair is pound yen. As you could see here, we are facing these levels here on a long-term chart. This is the monthly chart. So around here, around these levels, there was a sell-off, and we are trading around there. So we did break in the past 2 weeks. We did break through that level. Let's see how the daily chart looks. As you could see here, it was a lot of actions here trying to break. That we have up and downs. And the last 4 sessions looks like it had a nice move to the upside, but we didn't manage to close above the previous high here. So 188.28, we can mark that as well on the daily chart. This was the high of 14th of November, 188.28. And let's see if we are holding that level and turning back south, or we are continuing from here. And the last pair is CAD CHF. It's the opposite scenario here. It looks like we shopping here for support, and we're currently sitting exactly on this level. Again, talking about numbers, the low of this tail was 0.64581, and we closed half a penny below that level, right on that spot. So it could be that this pair is facing some change of trend. As you could see here, a lot of accumulation with a lot of tails shaking out all the stops and all the traders trying to hold into it, or getting in, so on. So we want to see, in order for it to show some strength, we want to see some nice price action above this 0.6458, trying to build some nice support and possibly moving higher, or we could just close below again and start building similar to this, the resistance, and continue lower as well. But you could see here we are at the historical levels here, and this could be an opportunity for the buyers to succeed. But again, we'll see what happens. So That's as far as currencies. Also, we had some actions on the exotic ones, the Turkish lira. It's still holding there. There was some interest rate decisions there. I'm not going into it because I think you can look into it yourself and research and try to find out the details. And also, USD ZAR had to move up, and then the last two sessions we were down. Also, there was an interest rate decision there, and we are trading above the 200 moving average there. Okay, and let's take a look at this pair, the one that we've been talking for a long time, the CHF JPY. We did manage to close the week above this key level 168.23. That was the previous action here from which we sold, and then we played with it a lot. So we're kind of between this 168.23 as a support and the recent high that we had back on the 15th, and the high here is 170.48. So it's about 200 220 pips, and we are trading right in between. So definitely we'll be watching what's happening with this pair. And as I promised, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. We just hit the high that brings us back. I just want to see to where May of 2022, around there. So we did have a spike here all the way to 38,406, but we did close below this previous high or recent high. So we are trading around 38,000. Let's see what this week brings. We had some developments, some CEOs stepping down and other things in the crypto world. If you're following, it's good to follow because it is reacting to all those events. And as far as technicals, we are holding this level between 37 and 38,000, and we did come from around 35,000 with this big move on the 15th. Okay, so let's just summarize quickly what we spoke about. So as far as last week, we had the short session, so low volume and so on. We had Black Friday, the shopping. It was, now I think we're facing also Cyber Monday. It's funny names. So a lot of retail news probably going to be coming in, and let's see how that affects the market, because it's a tricky one. We're still in the time when the good news could be a bad news, not the normal way. Is as long as we're having the bad news, the Feds are holding steady with their no change policy for now. So I guess we'll find out about it. We have just go back to the calendar really quick. This is the key event of the week, the core personal consumption expenditure, and that's the number that the Feds are really watching for. Okay, and we have some other news or events that we went through. We have a dollar index in a tight range. We have markets in general, the equity markets facing resistance. And I guess we'll decide, or we'll see what the market decides to do running into the end of the year or going into correction. So far, everybody's excited. Everybody's believing, not everybody, but a lot of analysts are believing in this rally. And it's a good thing that we always have two teams. We have bulls and bears, and that's what creates the market. So it's going to be an interesting week, and I want to wish everyone a great and successful week. And meanwhile, enjoy the weekend, and we should be back, God willing, next Sunday. All the best.